G'day, fellas, and welcome to LucifroN versus Tock. This is part of N4C. We are at the final day of qualifying. Here with me is Nilly. Nilly, who have we got on the other side of the map?
We have you introduced Tock, right? Then we have in the blue trunks our probably favorite in this one, LucifroN. His brother is already in the main event from Spain. Really accomplished RTS player, professional StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, and Heroes of the Storm player. And now on the verge of qualifying to $100,000 AoE4 tournament.
You know what, Nilly? I don't think I actually introduced Tock. I think I introduced N4C. So
okay.
Apologies. It's 1 o'clock in the morning for me. You know, I still am yet to have my coffee, so apologies. Look, yeah, LucifroN. I mean, he doesn't really need an introduction, does he? He's just been around the scene for a long time. He's incredibly talented, as you mentioned. You know, coming in from SC2. But my question is more to do with Tock. Who is this guy? What do we know about him? Obviously, we know he's playing the French today. He's made it all this way through, so he must be pretty talented. But where is he from?
He's from Vietnam, and from what the chat is telling us, in Age of Empires 1 background, his probably breakthrough performance was with other Vietnamese players in the AoE4 Pro League, happening in early January, and making, I think, a quarterfinal appearance there with his two Vietnamese teammates.
Yeah, so that was the 3v3 tournament. That was quite good. I enjoyed watching that tournament. A lot of interesting games coming out. But yeah, I'm curious to see what he's going to be bringing to the table today. One of the things I've sort of noticed is when you get players that are sort of, like obviously the English-speaking community, they seem to coordinate and talk about strategies a lot. But one of the things I've noticed with the Southeast Asian community doesn't seem to be that same way. I remember watching a game where we had Leenock playing, and he was just doing something completely different to what you would normally expect. So who knows whether he's going to look to bring something out from outside the box, down from left field potentially, or whether he plays relatively standard.
Obviously, people watching lots of guides online. If you have access to YouTube, speak English fluently, you watch the streams, you discuss strategies with maybe some teammates. We now have teams forming in Age of Empires 4. Leenock, kind of a loner. And it's like he's just grinding out the games, trying to explore the game himself. I would think Tokyo here might still have some discussions with other Age of Empires 1, 2 players like ACCM, like Cool, the people that he teamed up with, and so I think he won't go unprepared. But yeah, we could see some wild strategies.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Now, obviously, this matchup, Abbasid versus French, it's almost becoming a bit of a classic matchup. I remember talking about this in the very beginning, and with the Mister, and he talked about his theory that Abbasid should do pretty well because they've got camels, and that you know the French player is going to want to make cavalry because that's their specialty, that's their forte. Whereas the Abbasid, they've got the counter to that in the camels. So I'm suspecting we're going to see some cavalry coming out today. But do you reckon we'll see much of the camels coming out of LucifroN?
Camel's not camel. Camel rider, I think I've not seen it being used really. Camel archer though, we've kind of figured out, wow, they 3-shot some spearmen, they still give you the aura to reduce the damage output, and they seem to be more of a reasonable option. It feels like the camel rider not getting a lot of love right now.
Yeah, Camel Rider, definitely one of those units. They've obviously got some pretty good upgrades in there. Obviously, the military wing gives them that nice little melee shield that gives them that 3 armor. But it just feels like it's such a big investment when you can just make knights and they've already got the extra armor anyway.
Yeah, and Camel Rider, some people are crying for some change there. Maybe making them a bit cheaper could have been an option. Or maybe some other improvements right now. Just feels like Camel Archer, still giving the aura, still quite some nice addition. And as you can see, LucifroN, he just goes for fresh foodstuffs and then switches away. Also collected the 75 gold that you need for the hardened upgrade. And now, not on gold for quite some time.
Yeah, really nice macro coming in here from LucifroN. So only over-gathering by about 2 gold. So not opting for the wheelbarrow opening. We've seen a lot of players been going for this, where they go for a sort of a wheelbarrow opening. It's been definitely a lot more common in the meta, but not going to be opting for it today. Tock now reaching the second age as well, going up with the School of Cavalry and dropping down an archery range immediately upon aging up. So probably not going to be looking towards heading into that professional scout tech, at least not at this stage, but we'll see how he plays it out.
Yeah, obviously an option. You feel like you might get enough breathing room for it, but rather wants to go for some archers to counter the spearman defense. Still, no mill. Has a nice amount of sheep though, so certainly not forced into getting those deer too early.
Yeah, now first night of the game is going to be coming out, heading towards the base of LucifroN. Interestingly, Tock has got his scouts set up on either side of the base of LucifroN, but there is a stable that's sitting in the back, yet to be scouted out by Tock. So he may be taken a little bit aback by this. Typically, we do see this as the somewhat standard opening by the Abbasid, and I'm a big fan of how this plays out. So he's going to be looking to do the full melee composition. So that's where you go with your spears and your horsemen. So normally avoid making archers, at least until your enemy starts switching in for those spears. So we'll have to wait. We'll have to see how he plays it out. But LucifroN also moving out for a mining camp on the stone outcropping as well. So second town center could be in the works.
Feels like he is somewhat safe. Has 4 spearmen. First one doing quite some damage. Also dealt some damage against the scout. And feels really well protected. Had 2 spearmen over at the woodline as well. And seems to be bulletproof for now. Seems like an uncontested second town center.
Yeah, I like that. I do agree with you. I think it's definitely bulletproof. I think the main concern he's going to have is obviously when those archers do eventually make their way out across the map. You can see 3 of them already grouped up and ready to go. He's going to start applying some pressure, whether it be to those berries, whether it be to that stone outcropping. But the stone outcropping, I mean, he's only going to be out there until 1,200 stone remains on that. So if he wants to get up there, he's going to have to get up there pretty darn quickly.
3 spearmen as the defense there. 4th archer now joining the party as well, but LucifroN, look at that beautiful move. Hiding in that stealth forest, has a very good idea what's coming.
Yeah, this is a really smart move by him. The scout obviously able to see into and out of the stealth forest, but units unable to see just past the edge of it there. So really smart use of the mechanics. And now towards the front of the base now for LucifroN. Archers trying their best to tee off on some of those villagers. Not a lot of luck. And now going to be chased away by the spearmen. A few horsemen in the back there as well. No upgrades coming through for these just yet. And, oh my gosh, my camera just skipped around like crazy. But managing to do a pretty decent job and somewhat overwhelmed at this point in the game, Nelly.
Seems like the archers already dying. Rest of the army is retreating. Means already -2 there. Spearmen still chasing. And that's a really good opening for LucifroN.
Yeah, this is a huge victory for him. The fact that he's able to reduce the mass down by Tock, or for Tock, by 5 archers already, that's so significant. So one of the big parts of this game is a villager actually got pulled out here for Tock as well. I'm not sure exactly what that was about. It does get killed in the middle of the map, so he's going to be down 1 villager. But yeah, a huge victory this early in the game is a really good sign for LucifroN, because it means he's going to be somewhat protected for at least the next 2 to 3 minutes, just because of that reduction in mass.
Yeah, it looks really good. And that villager aggressively, maybe for a tower, trying to pressure that stone, but it would have been too late anyways. Horsemen being scared away, and second town center already 50% done.
Yeah, this second town center is absolutely huge. So for anybody unfamiliar with the way the Abbasid dynasty works, so with their House of Wisdom, one of the most common technologies that they're going to be getting is that fresh foodstuffs technology, and it's the one that sits right here, and so essentially reduces the cost down of villages by 25 or 50%. And it means that adding in that second town center, it's going to be extra cheap for you to be pulling in those extra villagers, and you're going to be able to overtake your enemy if they're just sitting on 1 town center pretty quickly.
Yeah, and then the big question is, how do you try to address that? Obviously, French still having the bonus of producing a bit fast out of their town center as well, so won't fall behind too much. Yesterday we have seen Eric try to add a second town center, but got punished by the Abbasid in Castle Age there. Will be interesting to see how Kyo tries to approach it.
Yeah, I think from here, I guess the question is, what does Tokyo do here? Because obviously, LucifroN's very safe under his 2 town centers. You can see the knights running in now. He actually manages to pick up 1 villager, almost picks up the second. So LucifroN, a little bit of lapse in attention right there. Almost going to be losing out a Royal Knight, but I mean, when it comes to what his game plan should be from here, obviously you come into these games with a plan. You know that it's likely, if you're going up against an Abbasid player, they're probably going to be running a double TC. How do you get back into this, Nilly?
Well, lots of options. Feudal Age all-in is something we have sometimes seen. Sometimes people go for a relatively quick Castle Age, and it feels like Men-at-Arms. Especially if they get the second armor upgrade, they're performing really well. But right now, LucifroN, that's not your typical 2TC play. He's still the one doing massive amount of damage. Look at that, big raids over at the deer.
Yeah, huge raid coming in. A couple more spears looking to reinforce this position, managing to keep those villagers alive. And Tokyo going to be pretty happy that he managed to keep those vills alive, only losing out 2 spears, and traded out a lot of health on these horsemen. Also got another knight in the mix there as well, looking to pick up some very effective trades and manages to take out 1 horseman before he continues following along.
Ah, but feels like LucifroN now resisting the raid quite nicely. Doesn't seem like he will lose too much, and that TC is positioned so nicely. Next to the gold, next to the wood line. The base feels really tight now.
Yeah, I've got to agree. The base is looking very, very good. I feel like there's almost no way that you can get into here. I mean, all the villages are very safe, and now we do actually see a raid coming back towards that town center. He manages to get 9 villagers inside, a couple spears on the outside. Also going to be doing damage, managing to take down one of those knights. Second knight getting relatively low there. He's going to be able to walk away with his town between his legs and hopefully heal up, which I can see no chivalry coming through just yet for him, but I suspect we would see it sooner rather than later. But take a look in the middle of the map, Nilly.
Oh, Horseman finding some pickups again. Archer dealing quite some damage as well. Interesting that he's pulling those Horsemen away. Maybe a misclick there in some form. But Tock again being stopped and massing those archers.
Yeah, once again getting caught with his pants down. To the front, we see a few spears coming out, but the archer mass beginning to build now for LucifroN, and he'll look to eye those out behind this. It looks like he's also getting a raid down on the back mill where the deer are, but there's a couple spears there to meet him, so he manages to hold the front. But keep in mind, as these fights are going on and on and on, LucifroN is sitting here with 2 town centers, Tokyo only 1, and that means that eventually it's just going to snowball, isn't it?
39 villagers here, make it 38 against 47 already, and with that raid continuing, wouldn't be surprised if LucifroN soon is 10 villagers ahead and still has the aggression. That's really untypical. Eco lead and map control.
Yeah, but take a look at the wood line right now of LucifroN. He's lost a huge amount of villagers down to 44. You can see the bodies of them just laying in there. It looks like he's managed to pick off at least 3 villagers. At least that's all I can see, Nilly. There might be a couple more of those logs that have just recently fallen.
But Horseman trying to equalize that. Spearman are chasing them away. Tries to go for another hit. Low HP villager, but still survives. And yeah, Spearman a bit out of position. Knights back in at the top, but this time Spearman are around.
Spearman going to be able to chase them away. We can see he's got a single sheep in there as well. Just keeping track of things. But out towards the front of Tock's base, he's also picked up a horseman, managing to take it down. Nice little trade there. But there is a lot of action on this map. And I got to say, Tock is impressing me at this point, Nilly.
It's looking really good. Like, he is active, but still some knight losses. And it feels he is a bit on a timer. I really would have liked to see Chivalry a bit earlier, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Chivalry would have been very smart here. Also, when he notices, big losses coming outside the base of LucifroN. I'm not sure if you saw that, Nilly, losing out a scout as well as 2 knights. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen Chivalry coming in a bit sooner. I also would have loved to have seen textiles coming in. So both of these players under heavy attack, and neither of them investing in textiles. Obviously, it's a bit of an expensive investment to get into, but you know, for all you Age of Empires 2 players out there, you'll know how important it is to get your loom upgrade, and it's the exact same thing with textiles in AoE 4.
What do you think about Phalanx? It's 50 food, 125 gold, and I think it makes your defense so much easier with the Spearman. You get so many more hits in, you will get better engagements in big groups as well. I actually thought LucifroN already got it. Still a nice defense without it regardless.
Yeah, I think it's a really important tech to have once you start reaching that mid-game. Once you've got your second barracks down and you really start pushing out the numbers of spears. And against the French, it's going to be extraordinarily strong because, you know, there's going to be no shortage of cavalry for you to be stabbing with your spears. So I think it's a great technology, especially in this matchup. But we do see LucifroN now going to be able to click up to the next age. Going to be opting for the culture wing. And it's going to be looking to see him take the tech lead.
Yeah, very, very likely. I've seen people go for wild approaches, then wait for the preservation of knowledge finishing, and then going for like 6, 7 different upgrades at the same time. Certainly an option here, but it feels like, look at that, more barracks being added. It's like LucifroN wants to put on the aggression first.
Yeah, a huge amount of barracks coming in as well. But I would just note that we've got a second town center now coming down from Tock.
Ooh, next to the wood line. Not really protecting the gold or the food income too well, though. So I'm a bit curious. I think maybe could have been a bit more aggressively, maybe getting a bit more map control. It still feels like Horsemen or the Men-at-Arms soon can still find kills.
Yeah, I think you might be right with that one. At the moment, when he puts that down, he's sitting on 46 villages. His opponent, LucifroN, sitting on 62. So he's got quite a way to come, but eventually he's going to be able to catch up to his opponent. And speaking of catching up, he's trying his best now. As you can see that there are raids going down towards the north of the base. At the same time, LucifroN raiding down some of the villages of Tock. So there are just raids going in all over the map. And look at the villages going down up here on the berry patch, Nilly.
One Spearman trying to defend, debated a bit there, 2 low HP Knights running away, and Spearman actually wins against the Knight there, really important one. Otherwise we could have seen 2-3 more villagers die, but feels like LucifroN is defending this one quite nicely.
Yeah, LucifroN's still up about 14 villages despite losing quite a few on that berry patch. But I would expect that we're going to see that gap begin to get closed. Tock, obviously playing the French, he is going to have a faster villager train time, so you can see that it only takes 17 seconds for his villagers to be trained, compared over to the 20 seconds that it takes for LucifroN. But keep in mind, LucifroN has now reached the 3rd age. A tech advantage now exists for him, and I would expect that he's going to look to get those upgrades and go for a push. You mentioned the potential of going for that preservation of knowledge. We could see that out very shortly.
Isn't really going for it though, and I'm a bit surprised in general. Like upgrades, only flies in with the veteran archer upgrade here, goes now for some crossman. Attack for those, and no eco upgrades. So maybe just wanted to finish the mangonel and now goes over to the other side. Tock, not having a good army to address
this is
that.
A smart move. Yeah, this is a really smart move. Coming in with the mangonel at this point. You can see up towards the north that Tock's trying to wall up to prevent any raids from coming in, but that's not going to be able to stop a mangonel. Definitely not. This is a really difficult spot for Tock because he doesn't know about the mangonel. That's the big thing. You can see towards the north he's got a scout that's sitting there, but he's got no information at all about the middle of the map. And that mangonel is going to be the game changer here, Nilly.
You say the mangonel, it's even now a second one coming up, and those villagers at the front with the gold really exposed in the town center. As I criticized earlier, not really protecting the villagers too well.
So what do you think the counter is at this point as the mangonels begin coming in? He's sitting in the 2nd age. He's about to go up to the 3rd age. How do you think he plays this out?
That's going to be a really tough situation. Probably abandon the gold, go further to the back, maybe double Siege Workshop and try to pray that you get some good Springer and Mangonel shots in. You need some wild comeback mechanic. I think you're heavily on the back foot.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. Indeed. I mean, we've got veteran archer now coming through. A battering ram going to get dropped down as well. Tock in a difficult position here. You can see he's got 16 villagers on his landmark at the moment, trying his best to get that up as quickly as possible, going up with the guild hall, but it is coming in very late, and he spots those battering rams on the front line. He knows that he is in danger as the mangonel shot heads down towards those archers, and you can see how much damage has been received as one of the archers does fall down, unfortunately.
And those rams now can pressure this area quite easily. Villager advantage, now more than 20, and the TC is not really producing. Therefore, I think LucifroN in a really good spot. Now going in further. Mangonel's trying to reposition himself.
Yeah, this is a beautiful timing attack coming in here from LucifroN. I love the way that he's added in the battering rams. A lot of people will rely on the mangonels to do their siege, but the truth is they just don't do enough when it comes to knocking down these buildings. The battering rams, though, they are going to do more than enough. And now we see the mangonels unfolding towards the infantry. They get off a decent shot. It looks like about 6 archers do go down. Spear's going to be out here. Men-at-arms in the mix as well. Mangonel shot once again coming up with that comedic arc that they've got and managed to take out almost the entire army, and Tock just taps out. LucifroN looking incredible in game number 1.
Lucy, strong indeed. Wow, that was a pretty uncontested second town center. Spearman defense was really nice, and it all felt like Tock lost the momentum after he lost his first archers.
Yeah, that was really it, wasn't it? He pushed out with those archers, and he wasn't really able to control the narrative, and it meant that, you know, as a result of losing that early mass of archers, his subsequent mass is just reduced in size, so it's harder for him to fight, and then he just stays down the entire game.
Yeah, and then he's not getting the raids in, and that's the big thing, right? French, they want to play their mobility, want to raid at different angles, and if you see, okay, I cannot raid here because it's spearmen, then you send your archers in, snipe those spearmen, and then the knights can do more damage. Something we sadly didn't see for Kyo.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. All right, well, I'm going to wrap that one up for YouTube, Nilly. But that was a pretty insane game. For anybody watching this on YouTube, Game 2 is going to be coming up right now, so don't go anywhere. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Get that one in, Nilly. Next time, Nilly.
Okay. For the second one. For the second one.
So, I mean, that was pretty impressive. I've got Don Artie in my chat at the moment, and you obviously know Don. He's quite a well-known bloke, and he said that is the exact way that he sees Abbasid French playing out. So I guess LucifroN really putting on a clinic for us today.
Yeah. If Donati agrees, I won't be the fool and disagree with Donati. It looks really strong there, and it looked so easy, right? Build some spearmen, get a second TC up, horsemen kill the archers, you chill back, have more villagers, get to a castle age earlier.
Yeah, it looked so easy. It really did. And then it's like, but you know, you go and do that, Nilly, and it's like, oh, well, 5 villagers are dead on my berry patch. I didn't even see that that knight over there. My game must be bugged. I didn't hear the attack siren going off.
Sounds way too true. Way too true. Okay, but Keo still has 3 home maps to go. He picked the... No, is that... Are those the right ones? Do we have the Nubi River? Did I really load the right maps? I'm a bit... No, I have the wrong ones on my overlay. We have the Nubi River, Boulder Bay, and Lippany as options for Keo.
Well, we've got the civilizations already coming out for these guys. It's going to be a Holy Roman Empire mirror.
Ooh. Then the Nubi River feels very likely.
Yeah, we've started to see them rise a bit, haven't we? The Holy Roman Empire.
It just feels like if you get to 3 relics, you're in such a good position that the Nubi River, you can get away with quite some greed, in the sense that you always have fish, you always have land army, and your opponent killing both before you get castle age seems really unlikely.
Yeah, I agree. I watched a game earlier where we saw LucifroN. The one way that he was actually countering the Holy Roman Empire was he was just delaying them from getting to the castle age. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. If you can delay their tempo. I estimated that he delayed up to 9,000 gold and 192 villages. So we'll watch and see how he manages this game. Yeah.
I want to see the math of that, Drongo.
Oh, yeah. I did the math. Don't worry, my friend.
Okay.
It was a certified mathematician, quick math.
Nice. I can imagine sitting you there with your abacus and like...
Oh, yeah.
Getting all the numbers right. Nice. So the gold was over 9,000?
Yeah, 9,000 gold, because he delayed the Regnitz Cathedral by 10 minutes.
Okay. Math checks out.
And then he subsequently delayed. So I went in with the theory that in a perfect Holy Roman Empire game, you should be getting up to Imperial at 12 minutes. And I think his opponent hit Imperial at 28 minutes.
Ooh.
And so during those 16 minutes, you would be able to make 192 villages with your Palace of Swabia.
Okay.
The math is sound.
Okay. I will allow it. 30 seconds to go before we jump into game number 2. LucifroN, an absolute master, obviously. But I think, if I think about Holy Roman Empire, I actually think of his brother Vortex. He has shown some really good build orders.
Yeah. Vortex is, he's almost a king of the HRE. I'm looking forward to what LucifroN's going to be able to pull out today. Obviously, having the HRE in his own hands. So, we've got 5 seconds to go. I don't know about you, Nilly. I'm ready.
My body is ready as well. Something we need to take a look at is relic distribution. How are they spawning on this map?
Yeah, that's a really good point. G'day, fellas, and welcome to game number 2 between LucifroN and Tock. This is N4C, we are in the final day of qualifying. The winner of this series will go through to Berlin. And spawning in on the north side of the map, playing the Holy Roman Empire, we've got LucifroN 7. His opponent, who spawns on the opposite side of the map. Nilly, who is it?
It's going to be Tock and HIE Mirror. Obviously, Relic's going to be super, super important and interesting generation this time. Basically, both players getting 2 relatively safe relics next to their starting base. And then relic number 5 will be the contested one in the center next to the sacred site.
Yeah, this is a very nice spawn when it comes to the relics. So There's no real imbalance here. Sometimes you do see that that there'll be maybe 5 relics in the middle, and then if one player gets up a little bit earlier than the other, then you're going to have trouble because one player doesn't have any relics and the other one's got all of them. Whereas in this situation, you've got both players that are going to have at least 2 relics, and we've seen games before where players have still managed to win games despite being behind in the relic count.
And admin even stopping by, pretty happy that he found that seed. Obviously, round of 6, super important round. If you win this one, you're going to the main event. Therefore, we are checking all maps beforehand, and players are getting designated seats. And basically, we look at the maps before, tell them, okay, you will play with that seat, and therefore trying to get as fair as possible. Interesting thing here, look at LucifroN's build order. How many villages does he have on wood?
Absolutely none. And I think this is very, very smart. This is something that we have seen Salami do. And so Salami, what he sort of came up with was, well, hold on a minute. I don't need to take the water if I can take the relics. So what I'm expecting we're actually going to see from LucifroN here is he's going to go for a very fast castle. He's not going to go for professional scouts. He's not going to go for any sort of dock play at all. And he's going to look to actually steal the relics of his opponent before he can get up to the castle age. Super smart.
Stealing those will be tricky if Tock walls off the opening. If it's not walled off, I could easily see a relic heist here and maybe one stolen off. Obviously, if we get to 3-2 advantage, big advantage if we get into the late game in an HRE mirror.
Yeah, now one of the things to note is that Tock, he is scouting out his own relics. He's managed to find one of them so far. Second one yet to be uncovered, but one of the things he hasn't uncovered are the plans that his opponent has got for him. So no dock being, or no dock being scouted yet. So sorry, let me rephrase that. He has not scouted his enemy yet.
Yeah, so he doesn't know how the food economy is looking, and he obviously might be thrown off by the fast fuel age of his opponent. Obviously, if you go for the dock, you will reach fuel age a bit later, but with a way better economy. Therefore, your castle age might be delayed a bit as well. And that's the whole strategy here for LucifroN, heavily counting on those relics. Map generation, actually not that good for him, with those 2 rather safe relics, compared to map generation where we had, for example, 1 safe relic for each player and 3 contestable ones.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, it looks relatively okay. And we actually see that LucifroN going up for a wall in the middle here. This is quite interesting. I'm not sure what this is all about. So we'll have to wait. We'll have to see exactly what his plans are. But I mean, Tock's still doing pretty well. Still yet to drop down that landmark at this stage, but now going to be scouting out the wall that's coming in, actually preventing the scout from coming across. It looks like he might be able to get that last pillar up. He manages to do it right before the scout comes in. So quite literally split-second timing. Had that been 0.1, 0.2 of a second delayed, that scout would have gotten through, would have found out everything that it needs to know on that other side of the river.
How does that quick walling work? Did he like throw his hammer to start the wall?
Yep. So it's a little hammer throwing trick that they teach you over in wait, these guys are Holy Roman Empire, so I'm gonna go with
Rome.
Maybe they teach you in Rome, yeah. I was gonna go with Hamburg, but we'll go with Rome. Yeah, it's really interesting how they do that. So that they move their villager at the last second. Have you seen them do this before?
Apparently not. I didn't expect that one to work.
Yeah, so they just build the foundation, so when the villager goes up to it. But we actually see Tock coming out with a response now down at the middle crossing, and he's going to be walling across. So he actually thinks that his enemy is going for some sort of offensive on the water. That is 100%.
I think Tock is going for a wild approach here. That he tried to shoot those 4 wolves and then runs away with his scout and wanted to position those wolves kind of next to the entrance of LucifroN, but they actually followed longer than he anticipated, and therefore they're not really blocking the passage too much.
Yeah, this is a really smart move. I love this, the wolf drop. It goes back quite a while, but yeah, you've got to time it very, very perfectly. I think if there's a civilization that can do the wolf drop well, it's the Mongols, because they can use their speed boost to time it perfectly. But unfortunately, it looks like Tock going to be walling off the passage. No sneaky shenanigans going to be coming in with the relics. So I guess that really begs the question, what is LucifroN up to?
Well, it's going to be the relic at the bottom, right? So he has to accept, okay, I won't have fish. You will get fishing ships. And it will be 3 against 2 relics. I actually think this should be better for Tock then.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I would probably go for 2 relics plus fishing over 3 relics. Obviously, you're probably going to be a little bit, you're obviously going to be behind on the gold, but you need to be thinking about the economic bonus that the fishing ships give you. It's absolutely massive. And take a look at LucifroN. He's doing a bit of artwork out here in the middle of the map, drawing a bit of an arrow. I don't know if you see this, Nearly, but he is pointing to something. What exactly is that?
That's the sacred site. Where do you want to go for the sacred site? Follow the arrow.
That is artwork. It's beautiful. But speaking of beauty, Regnitz Cathedral now going up in the base of LucifroN. Also getting out a whole bunch of prelates. So first prelate, well and truly on its way down towards that central location. Second prelate also going to be heading down towards his relic that is just outside the base. Third prelate also coming out as well. Maybe he's done the math and he's like, you know what? If I just age up really quickly and get my relics in before my enemy does, that's going to give me more resources than their fish economy does.
Well, let's think about it. 1 relic in the Regnitz Cathedral is worth 7.5 villagers on gold. Now compare that to potentially 9 fishing ships. Right now, probably 9 fishing ships slightly better, but fish will get more inefficient. And therefore, I think in like 10 minutes, you clearly want to have the relic over the fish.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess, but at the same time, it can also be the gift that keeps on giving with regard to the fishing boats, in that obviously your enemy securing up the 3rd relic, it's not a good thing, but you're going to continue to have that extra fish throughout the game. We now see LucifroN aging up at 7:35, picking up all 3 of those relics at the same time. A beautiful sound. 1, 2, 3 in quick succession. No thievery happening today, as Tock is also on the way up. You can see right now he's sitting at with 16 villagers on his own Regnitz, and he's got 1 prelate out so far.
And, well, we expect a solid 11 villager advantage, even though 11 economy. 23 to 34. So, right now, income combined should be a bit better for LucifroN. I think he was honestly hoping for an even bigger advantage than 1 relic with this strategy.
Yeah, it seems a bit curious. I guess it also comes down to the distribution of the relics and sort of knowing where they are. I think if there had been more central relics, so obviously there were 2 safe relics for each player, 1 central relic. If there had been, 3 central relics and 1 safe for each player, then it would have been a totally different kettle of fish, because he would have been able to deny 2 potential relics to his opponent, whereas today he's just denied the 1.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And feels like Tock can't be too unhappy. The question is, are we going for army here? I can see a knight for Tock now. On the other side, LucifroN, some spearman defense. But, well, goes for veteran spearman now. Might go for some walls. I think he rather wants to go for Swabia than
Yeah,
go for
I think
real
at this
army.
point it would be crazy not to, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, he knows. He should fly to Castle Age to Imperial Age without putting too many villages on gold. So heavily on the berries here, and now drops another mill. The question is, like, where do we build Swabia? Maybe next to the deer, but probably doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, I'd probably just go, next to the main TC on the wood line. Makes a lot of sense for LucifroN when it comes to Tock's base. Probably something similar. I mean, Tox is a lot more open, though. Take a look at how open Tox's base is down towards the south. Very, very open to potential raids.
Yeah, but he sees like spearmen at home. He knows that he can't really fear too much of an aggression. Goes for the sacred side, some indirect pressure there as well. And just feels like both players will go to Imperial Age without too many hits here. What do we see?
Market going to be coming up from LucifroN as well.
Could you click on the military stats and try to explain to me how we get to that KD?
Okay, I think LucifroN... No. LucifroN deleted a whole bunch of walls, so maybe they count as units. So remember those walls that he had down here that he was building, drawing up that arrow? What? So maybe that could be it?
That feels really weird. No idea. I think 2 villagers went down or something. But that's kind of it. Yeah, maybe cancelled walls are included there in that statistics. Wow, okay. Didn't know.
Oh, really? They are?
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Second Sacred Site going to be picked up here for Tock in the middle of the map. He's got 20 villagers on his Swabia as well. So when it comes down to the age-old question, to boom on water or not to boom on water, I mean, it's pretty much of a muchness, at least at this point. Keep in mind, Tock obviously ahead when it comes to collecting of the food, but his opponent, LucifroN, obviously going to be ahead when it comes to the relics. And I think it's an interesting question as to which one you'd prefer, because I think, you know, when it comes to the mid game, obviously the fish are going to be great, but the fish are going to run out eventually. And as you said, you know, they're going to be less efficient as the game goes on. And eventually you're going to want to have that third relic. It just makes a lot of sense.
So now the question is, Tock, TikTok, is he on a timer?
Is he on a timer? I mean, yes, he is on a timer.
I just wanted to say TikTok with Tock. It wasn't a real thing, but okay.
I actually do think he's on a timer. It's a very slight timer. It's a little bit of a TikTok. It's like a pocket watch at this point in time. Not, you know, it's not your whole. What's the clock in London called? Nearly, help me out here.
Big Ben?
Yeah, it's not Big Ben. It's definitely not that big. It's pocket watch.
Okay,
so
small
just
Ben.
to talk a little bit about that, yeah, it's small Ben. Obviously, he's on the fish. He's got, at the moment, an immediate resource advantage over his opponent. As you talked about earlier, he's got the 55 villagers up against the 39. He's going to be able to use that food economy that he's got on water and transition that into his land economy. So there's definitely that window there. But at the same time, LucifroN's going to have that same thing as well. So I think that his only real option here, this, you know, now that I think about this more and more, Nilly, I think LucifroN did make the big brain play here. Just because he's got that third relic. It really makes a lot of sense.
But one sacred site against it, so advantage not that major anymore. Tock, he actually goes for elite man-at-arms already in the center, and only one layer of paper wall here. I don't think we have enough army for LucifroN to deal with that.
Yeah, this is 100% the right move. I think this is the only way Tock can win, and I'm really glad that he's identified this. So, as mentioned before, like you said, with the fish are going to run out, but they're not. It's going to take some time before they do. So, how can you take advantage of that? Well, you got to put that into units, and obviously with the relic, it's the gift that keeps on giving. At the moment, it's not giving a lot, but you know, when we get to the 65th minute in this game, it's going to be giving 300 gold, which is absolutely beautiful. But at the moment, it's really not worth that much. So it makes sense for Tock to just be transitioning this into an all-in, essentially, just going for a big attack right now and just trying to take his opponent by surprise. The difficult thing is that LucifroN isn't going to be very far behind him. As you mentioned, when it comes to his military, he might be down, but when his economy is considered, there's really not a lot of difference between these guys.
But military, it's elite man-at-arms against only castle age man-at-arms. Siege Workshop now coming. I think Tock should be able to break through the walls pretty quickly. I think LucifroN needs some mangonels ASAP. Maybe he's trying to rewall. Oh, actually builds a gate.
Yeah, this is quite bad as well, because behind this we do see a single spear coming out for LucifroN, just doing a bit of scouting. He spots the triple blacksmith. This should immediately be of concern for him. A triple blacksmith already this early in the game with the university. He's going to spot that as well. He should be seeing red flags right now. He should be going, oh no, oh no, oh no. That is +1 attack, a +1 melee attack, +1 ranged defense, and +1 melee defense coming through right now. Yeah, that is scary. That is really scary.
Upgrade to elite spearman. Oh, LucifroN is going for the very wrong units here against what Tock will have. This will be so good. I think we only need some siege to break those walls. Oh, this will be really crucial. If LucifroN can't
He
rewall...
never scouted the barracks. He never scouted the barracks. That's why, because the barracks are forward. So he only ever spotted that stable, and he's anchoring to it.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm scared for LucifroN here.
Bombard going to be coming out here as well for LucifroN. I don't like this at all. I think Tock's going to get this. I really do. He's looking very, very strong now.
Okay, what do we have? We have 90 villagers against 75. So Tock has a villager advantage in that regard. Remember, still one relic. 15 military against 17, so really even. But look at that. How many upgrades we already have on those elite men-at-arms. Even the HP upgrade.
Yeah, there's a lot of upgrades that have already come through for these guys. They're incredibly strong right now. And Tock knows that, unfortunately, he was on that bit of a timer, and he's got to try and exploit that. Now that Bombard going to be coming out. Doesn't really have enough men-at-arms here to be challenging this Bombard. He's just going to pull villagers and be able to repair it up, or at least he should be. We see those men-at-arms coming in and trying to siege down the bombard, and the villager's going to be able to get on top of it. He takes it through a nice little choke point, turns it around. There's no way that bad boy's going down. Not today.
Big repair. Now rushing out the archer and just try to go for some Landsknecht for the defense as well. And I would like to see some hand cannoneers. Wood looks really big for LucifroN. Would love to see him add some more farms.
Yeah, there's definitely a difficult time to sort of transition, isn't there? You got to sort of just allocate a whole bunch of villages over to wood, and then you sort of don't pay attention for a while, and then, oh, I've got 6,000 wood. I better make some farms with those. So LucifroN heeding your advice, dropping down a couple of farms at the front. Now, Nilly, I've got something that I actually found it out today. Apparently, it's been in the game for 4 months. Are you ready to hear this? Because you might not know it either.
Whew, drum roll. Okay, I'm ready.
Did you know when you click on a villager and you look down towards the bottom of your screen on the UI, there are little numbers that are represented over the buildings. And
Yes.
that number indicates how many of that building is currently on the map for that player.
What?
Did you know that?
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. But thank you for sounding enthusiastic. You sounded very enthusiastic.
You should not have
I
asked. You
think
should not have asked. I would have gone the whole way with you.
Yeah, but you know, it's a cool little thing, right? Like, did you know right now that that Tock has got 35 wall segments, palisade wall segments to be precise?
Oh, I would have counted them. But actually, now looking at that, okay.
Yeah, there you go, 36.
Nice.
Two-handed weapons now coming in as well for Tock. He's under a bit of siege towards the front, but we can see a culverin going to be coming out for him as well, unfolding and unloading. It's going to be the first shot heading over towards the bombard. Second shot doesn't look like it's going to get off. It does actually manage to get off, but it looks like it's only going to hit a spearman. Unfortunately, culverin not particularly effective against spearmen. Men-at-arms going to be in the mix here. You can see those beautiful Landsknechts coming through. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Nilly. I'm with you. I'm casting with the German. I'd hope I'm getting it right. But Men-at-Arms going to get cleaned up completely here, and Tock not looking particularly strong.
In German, we call them land snakes.
No, you don't. I've heard that one before. If you actually have a look, okay, right now, Tock, is he getting the elite upgrade for the Landsnakes? He's not. When he does, they're going to turn into Ronald McDonald's. I love this. They cosplay as Ronald McDonald.
Really?
Yeah, you'll wait, you'll see. It's something quite beautiful. Unfortunately, LucifroN isn't going to be able to cosplay as Ronald McDonald, but Tock is. And if there's one thing that you should know about Ronald McDonald, he absolutely, with his capitalistic smile, destroys the socialists of Germany. Well, I got to be careful with what I just said, Nilly. Hold on. The friends of Germany.
Well, we are going to be... The event is in West Germany, not Eastern Germany. So you're fine,
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We got a Culver and Mirror coming out here. Both players firing upon the back lines of each other. LucifroN doing a great job to focus down Tock's Culverin. So a little bit of a mistake right there, but Army's still relatively even. Both players getting cleaned up at this point. A bit of a point ahead for Tock, but keep in mind that third Relic has still been kept in the bag this entire time. I like to think of the sacred sites as a fluid thing. You know, you never really got them all the time. Sometimes you've got them, sometimes you don't. But the relics, those things, they're not fluid. They're static.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like Tock right now has somewhat of a handle, but compared to the relic income, obviously reasonably smaller, so not the main thing to focus on if we compare economies. And LucifroN, he is stabilizing, and he has a lot of that. I'm a bit surprised how little water play we see.
Yeah, really not a lot of water play. So maybe this is a bit of a consequence of the nerfed demo ships. Obviously, you'll remember the good old days where demo ships used to kill 150 units, and you know, that was a Tuesday. The good old days.
Tuesday.
Long gone are those days. So now we've just got, now we've just got, water. It's an interesting fact. I mean, we could have Carracks potentially come out, but they get outranged by the Culverins, and obviously the Culverins got buffed up recently. They've got an extra 200 damage against ships, and they do 12 range. And whereas Carracks, I think they've only got a range of 8. I might be wrong in that regard.
Yeah, sounds reasonable. And I actually think like Culverin, Springles, the more siege we get, the worse they become. I think even Bombard's like 3-shot Carracks now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's interesting how the dynamic works, and it sort of swings around so quickly. I remember, you know, just before the prior patch, talking about how it was so difficult to ever take water off people, and now it's like, well, water's just so terrible because it's so easy to take water off them. So it really is a fine balance to come in with water play. But I'm sure they'll look for it. They'll eventually find it. But yeah, at the moment, water seeming only to be useful for the little bits of fish that are being captured at the moment by Tock. But speaking of captured, Sacred Site's being taken now, secured up. Start the timer nearly 21 minutes. That's when we began.
Okay, timer started. And therefore LucifroN eventually will have to make an attack happen. A stonewalling off the bottom, so no interest to take that one. Think it will be very one-dimensional push through the center, but I like the amount of siege by Tock.
Yeah, this stone wall, the only disruption it's really had at the moment is just this wolf that did get taken down. But yeah, he's managed to secure up a lot of land back there. I suspect he's probably going to be able to fit in a forward base down here if he wants to as well. But yeah, I've got to agree with you. I think the majority of the fighting is going to be over this northern Sacred Site. So we'll have to see how they play it. But I mean, at this time, I think Tock's definitely in a pretty decent position. He's got a lot of his infrastructure here on the front line. He's going to be able to reinforce. And keep in mind, once you get into these battles where you've got 200 up against 200, LucifroN needs to push into Tock. And as he gets closer and closer to this Sacred Site, he's getting closer and closer to the reinforcements, which means it's going to be easier for Tock to push back. So Tock's in a really good position, having his infrastructure so close to this Sacred Site. It's going to make it very easy for him. He might lose the fight initially, but he will slowly overwhelm his opponent because those reinforcements from LucifroN are going to be running all the way from his base, whereas Tock's are right next to the Sacred Site.
Yeah, and that's a lot of barracks there already. 13 barracks, building more. Maybe some more outposts could be built as well if he wants to only control the center. But yeah, Tock looks good there.
Sorry, I missed what you heard there, Nilly. Say that again.
You missed what I heard.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
Don't
worry, don't worry. I think there's a little bit of lag right now. I'll try my best to cast this while we're watching, and hopefully you can hear my voice as well. But we've got the men-at-arms fighting up against the spear. They're going to have no trouble against that. But you can see the bombards on the front getting taken down by the men-at-arms that have managed to escape through. Not enough villagers going to be up here to repair these units. A complete overwhelming amount of units on the front here for LucifroN. He's doing a great job. And the Landsconnect's actually managing to hold on. So who would have thought the men-at-arms would so decisively lose to a combination of Landsconnects and spearmen?
Well, Landsknecht doing the splash damage in the back there is just so incredibly good. And it felt like Tock was really aiming for the siege. Decimated the siege count quite nicely, but therefore lost the melee fight.
Yeah, definitely needing to bring in those Culverin. It's really important when you take out your enemy siege on the front line. You need to move them up so that you're able to take out their back line as well. So hopefully we see that's something that Tock is doing. But yeah, in a bit of a difficult spot here. He's down to 149 population, whereas LucifroN's actually sitting at 200 population right now. So he's a very healthy, beautiful economy behind this as well. And keep in mind, he's got the 3 relics.
Left-hand side, we have 2 keeps kissing each other, and it feels like enough villagers finished the castle or the keep there for LucifroN, and therefore Tock has to evacuate that area.
Yeah, a huge amount of villagers dropping that down. 40 villagers up against the 6. It's never going to be easy, but LucifroN definitely doing very well there. And yeah, I mean, LucifroN looking incredibly strong at the moment. He's beginning to push into the middle of the map here. I'm not sure if there's going to be any way Tock's going to be able to hold this. There's a lot of infrastructure here, but I'm starting to feel like it's still not enough. He's got 12 barracks, but yeah, just not enough infantry coming out of them. I don't know what he's doing. He's got all the resources he can spend on it as well, but okay, now he's going to be queuing up some units, taking some time, and we can see that he is managing to hold out in the middle here, but all the bombards on the back are going to be able to take down the infrastructure that's here, and he just cleans it up completely. LucifroN looking incredibly strong.
Oh man, no elite Landsknecht for all this time here for Tock, and yeah, siege in the back, simply so good. Culverin's obviously not designed to kill some unit, but well, that infantry completely outmassed, and then the Culverin's adding some nice damage from distance.
I really don't know what Tock is doing right now. I kind of feel like he's AFK. He's got enough resources in the bank right now. He could buy, like, not only a house in New York, he could buy one in, like, what's that island out to the east of New York? Long Island. He could buy a house out there. Like, that's how many resources he's got. Oh. And he's just sitting. I think he might have disconnected. I'm not kidding you, Nilly. I think he's disconnected. All these barracks are just sitting here idle.
Well, I just saw him build another Carrack and some stone walls, but yeah, certainly it's like not a lot of moves are coming right now.
He's not disconnected. I can see. I'm watching the free camera. I can see what he's up to. We're in the eye. I'm on the eye of the tiger right now, or eye of the Tock at the moment. It looks like he's rebuilding his infrastructure, so giving up the middle of the map. So going to be losing that sacred site and just dropping down a whole bunch of barracks towards the back, or towards the south. Also dropping down a whole bunch of siege workshops. So just giving up on that front completely.
I lost all his siege workshops at the front, therefore couldn't really go for any of his upgrades. So still no faster movement speed. His mangonels not becoming stronger as well. Only now going for the Landsknecht again. And just feel like LucifroN gained so much map control there.
Yeah, it's not looking pretty for Tock. I think this right here is going to be the decisive point in the game where he stopped fighting for the middle. I think it was imperative that he kept control of the middle, and so we didn't see him put down anywhere near enough castles. Didn't have enough siege out, unfortunately, and it just means he sort of continues to lose and throw the game. But on the other side, I mean, LucifroN looking incredibly strong. The all of the Culverin that he's got out. He's got 4 Culverin out, 3 Bombards, and a whole bunch of infantry just standing by, ready to roll.
Okay, now we can see how the Carrack is doing against Siege, and I think Triple Bombard easily killing that one.
All right, developers, if you are watching this and you're wondering why nobody is fighting on water, there you go. Who knows, maybe give them like a range increase or something? They just, yeah, I don't know. It just didn't seem like they were that overwhelming.
You
Seemed
don't
quite
want to fight
underwhelming.
on water? We will just put 3 water maps in the ladder queue. Good luck trying to play without water on Warrington Islands.
Yes, yeah, that's yeah, okay, good point. Good point.
Oh,
He's
you
gonna be able to run
don't like
into the
Warrington
base now,
Islands? Let's give you Archipelago.
And then after you've finished Alt F4ing those two, guess what's coming back? It's Warring Islands again. I actually got to a point where I was like playing Quick Search and I was just counting the water maps I was getting. I got like 2 Confluence, 2 Boulder Bay, 2 Archipelago, 1 Warring Islands, and I got Lipany once. And I was like, really? You gave me one land map in 10 games? It was wild. But long gone are those days.
Now everything is better.
As he says, as he cries about the Carrack just getting 1 shot on water. But speaking of 1 shot, I'm a little bit worried for the base of Tock because LucifroN is moving in with quite a serious amount of units here. The Regnitz Cathedral's gone down. The Palace of Swabia looks like it might be next. Keep in mind that town center, it's starting to take a few hits as well, and we begin to see the men-at-arms slowly but steadily overwhelming the forces now of LucifroN. LucifroN almost looks like he's bitten off a bit more than he can chew. We see the Bombards trying as fast as they can to run out a couple of Culverin back there as well, but the men-at-arms, they mean business. You can see the Ronald McDonald in there as well with their swinging swords. There's no time for... I was going to say for chopsticks, but I probably meant spatulas because I can't imagine Ron McDonald cooking up sushi in out the back, but nearly... I mean, he's trying to turn the tides of battle. Do you think he's going to be able to do it?
Well, he's holding for now, right? Still some army at the bottom, still some land secured at the left-hand side. Maybe, just maybe, if you consider, okay, I can't break my opponent with gold. Maybe I try to starve them on wood. And LucifroN is doing a good job of not taking the woodline in the back, but left-hand side not looking too pretty. Keeps nicely denying it.
Yeah, keeps doing a pretty good job, but yeah, as you mentioned, he's still got a huge amount of wood up there. And this is something that we have seen players do repeatedly, especially on this map, because this is a map that typically lasts a little bit longer than others just because of the way it is designed. But a huge battle now beginning to unfold. We see those men-at-arms just running up towards the siege. It's on the back line. They're going to have an absolute field day out there. As the men-at-arms now beginning to round the corner. We see Mangonels actually going to be coming out and firing off their first shot on those men-at-arms. The first bombard goes down. The second one gets absolutely struck out as well. A few more bombards back behind those siege walls, but it's going to take some time. I feel like it might be worth actually getting a couple of those relics out of the Regnitz and just potentially even bringing them out to the front line just to protect your siege investment and then try and push in and finish off your enemy.
Oh, well, it feels like a stylish move and I would love to see it. Just feels like quite a risk as well. 300 gold per minute is just such a nice income for you. So I would assume people are trying to fight with their army, no relic support.
I love to see the relic support, Nilly. It's one of my... It's one of my favorite things to do. I remember I was actually playing a game in the early stages of Age of Empires 4 when it was in the closed beta stages. And I was playing a team game. I was playing with... Who was I playing with? I think it might have been ACCM. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to make siege only. And I made only siege as China. And it actually worked. And the trick was to bring the monks with the relics. Because if you don't have those, you can just very easily engage upon this siege. It's very easy to get on top of them. But once you bring in those monks, once you bring in those relics, you're going to be able to overwhelmingly defend them. But speaking of overwhelmingly defensive, doesn't look like Tock having too much chance here as LucifroN continues to push in. Second keep now going up in his base, Nilly.
I still can't believe that you just bragged about playing with beta China and won a late game. Good job, Drongo.
Oh, that was a brag. That was a very serious brag right there. Yes, yeah, with ACCM as well. Did I mention that?
Oh, yeah, nice. Playing with the big boys. Yeah. Good job, good job. You built siege with Chinese. But also a really good job by LucifroN. Still covering the live, sent quite some villagers to the front here. And his queue is looking pretty damn solid. Down to 130 population here for Tokyo.
Yeah, he's sitting up on 6,000 wood as well, so you can tell that the panic has begun to settle in. It's definitely at this point when your macro starts to go out the window that you start going, this game might be over. Unfortunately for him, it looks like the unit's just not getting reinforced quickly enough. You can see that he's got 14 production buildings, but at this point in the game, when you're sitting on so many villages, you kind of need to hit those 20, 30 numbers, and now you can just see all of the units beginning to unfold now. A couple of Ronald McDonalds running into the battle. They're going to try and valiantly swing around their spatula, but getting taken out before they can even get in a single hit. And it looks like a defensive keep going to be going down, but I don't think this is too much longer going to be Tock's game, unfortunately. I suspect LucifroN going to be able to take this one out very shortly.
Get such a good foothold now there. Regan's Cathedral went down as well, so Relic control lost, and it's not 3 versus 2 anymore, or like 9 versus 6 if you want to count the normal relics. Now it's 9 versus none. Yeah, it's a really, really tough spot for him to be in. Now, keep in mind his town center. This is his capital town center. It's on the front line here, which means that the next bombard that comes through is going to be focusing that down. He's also got the Palace of Swabia over towards the left-hand side. That's also on the front line. And then finally the Ark and Chapel behind. So when it comes to siege, there's not a lot of room for him to move here. He cannot, position himself around into the corner of the map. I know that players like you, Nilly, you love to sort of get yourself a few villages, run to the corner of the map and try and build up a new base. Tock's not going to have that opportunity here. Yeah, hoping that the opponent is disconnecting, trying to get a win that way. Always my strategy. Not really an option if you lose all your landmarks before that, though.
And that's exactly it. I mean, it's a great... I personally love this mechanic in the game. It makes a lot of sense to me. Very easy to close out these games and force your opponent to GG out. And there we go. LucifroN coming in with the victory for the second game. Tock, unfortunately, tapping out.
Ooh, that felt like the siege control was so much better for LucifroN here. Just felt like he got onto the Culverines and then the Bombards, later on some Mangnals as well. And then siege numbers don't matter that much anymore and kind of snowbally. If your opponent has 6 siege units and you have none, tricky to come back.
Yeah, I think that's definitely it. There was a pivotal point in there where I think there was 4 Culverin, 3 Bombards. And that was really where it started to get out of hand. So, yeah, unfortunate game there for Tock. It looked like he was doing pretty well when he took control of the center. But, yeah, unfortunately, things just got away from him. And that third relic just made all the difference.
Yeah, let's take a look. Overall gold income. Plus 10,000 gold for LucifroN.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. Jeez, that's a lot, isn't it? 10,000 gold. So, I mean, that's one relic over 30 minutes. So, obviously, there's other aspects of it as well, but yeah, that's a massive contributor.
KD roughly plus 100 as well for LucifroN, so has to be pretty happy with how that game went. And Kyo now losing a mirror matchup with a reasonable map generation for you, not really raising your confidence.
Yeah, I mean, coming into this, I'll be honest, he's a bit of an underdog. I don't think we expected him to be able to sort of take down the titan that is LucifroN. But, I mean, he's putting up a pretty valiant fight, especially game 1. It looked incredibly convincing at some points. But, yeah, unfortunately, not going to be happening in game 2. I really loved seeing the water. The water versus no water. That was awesome.
Yeah. Interesting approaches. And that's what I really love about, especially like the moment that we are in Age of Empires 4 where like the meta is not 100% defined and you can really like come up with some interesting strategies, come up with different approaches, and we are kind of learning together with the players what might be the best approach.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I think it definitely got to that point, I think, with the Mongols and the tower rushing and the fast castle, but it seems to have sort of like calmed down a little bit. And now people are exploring new civilizations. Like we're seeing the English coming out a lot. We're seeing the Abbasid coming out a lot. Even like with the Holy Roman Empire. I love the way that we've seen the meta evolve on that map in particular. I don't know about you, but I remember it was just, you would only play the Mongols. And then it was like, well, now we can actually play Delhi because the Delhi, their boats, their fishing boats shoot. And then people were like, well, I'm kind of really close to the shoreline. What if I played English? And if my enemy attacked me, I could just pull my villagers and kill his aggressive villager before. And it just kept developing and developing. It was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, absolutely love to see that as well. Something that doesn't allow too much wild meta play, at least right now, and like too much experimenting, is Boulder Bay, which will be our next map. And we will go for another Ruse mirror. Certainly something that we have seen often. I will have a meeting with all the players that will make it into the main event on probably Monday, and we will discuss if we want to keep in Boulder Bay if we maybe want to ban Ruse on it. Lots of questions to be raised there to give you a lot of variety for the main event. Today, we will see Boulder Bay with the Ruse mirror again.
Yeah, I think people roll their eyes when they see mirrors. But they especially roll their eyes when they see a mirror on Boulder Bay because they know exactly what it's going to be. I've casted a couple of these games recently, and it definitely seems that people aren't particularly interested in them, just because it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. They seem to be very short, very cutthroat, I mean, if you were going to ask my opinion, Neely, I'd probably just be advocating to remove Boulder Bay from the map pool.
Mm-hmm. Yesterday we had a crazy good Boulder Bay game. ACCM against Dogao. And it was both players going I think it was 6 dogs against 4 dogs. And then one player adding double stable, got in the night raids. The other player advanced to Castle Age earlier. So that was one of the best games on Boulder Bay I've ever seen. So we got lucky there, but I can certainly see that some discussion has to be made there.
Yeah. It's curious. I wonder how they're going to fix that. Obviously, developers are constantly looking at the game, thinking of how they're going to potentially, fix that issue from popping up. So, yeah, I'd be curious to see what they come up with. It seems like it's a very difficult issue to solve. Rus just being so strong on that map.
Yeah, right now for sure. But developers, obviously, as you mentioned, aware, lots of different options. To think about it. Maybe longer morphing time from fishing ships to the loiter attack ships could be an option.
Yeah, that could be it. You could also take away their ability to move while they were morphing. That could be another option.
But that's only taking away 10 food, right? Because then they just go to the front and morph there.
Yes, that's right. You just move it up right before you age. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. So you probably want to just give it a longer morphing age time or morphing time.
Not easy.
Yeah. All right, so we're heading into game 3. I feel like LucifroN's probably in very familiar territory here, playing on a Rus mirror. But I guess, I don't know a lot about Tock. He's a bit of an unknown, quantity. So who knows? Maybe he's got 6,000 games and he's played half of them as Rus.
Yeah, maybe. Will be interesting to see. 1 minute to go. LucifroN, I think we have seen him multiple times when French was still meta on Boulder Bay.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I remember 2 games against TheViper even. Yeah.
I actually loved Viper's games on Boulder Bay. Because he always hated the water. At least that was the way I felt. And watching him, he would always just give it away. He's like, you have the water, it's okay. He played a beautiful game, Viper versus DeMusliM, HRE versus Rus. And that was one of the best games I've ever seen. Did you watch that game? Do you remember that game?
HRE against Rus?
Yeah.
Boulder Bay?
Yeah, he played against DeMusliM. DeMusliM had the eastern spawn, Viper with the western spawn. Oh, God, it was a beautiful game. And he played another one. He loves these China as well on Boulder Bay. So Maybe we should leave it in for Viper.
I think, honestly, like Boulder Bay and Ben Roos could be an option. We could explore something, but then maybe we just move it to another thing. The big problem is with Boulder Bay only having Roos, it basically takes Roos out of all other maps. So we run into more mirror maps because we are down to only 7 civs on land maps then.
Yeah, that's a really good point. All right, well, let's get into this one. Nilly, I don't know about you, but I am absolutely ready.
I am as well.
All right. G'day, fellas, and welcome to the third game in the series between LucifroN, who spawns in over on the east side of the map, playing the Rus in the color blue, and his opponent, who spawns on the west side of the map. Nilly, who is it?
West side of the map, it's Kyo, aka Tock, and we see a 5 villager on wood opening, 1 on the berries, and as you can see with Roos, we're now going for all the deer here. Big question, 1 or 2 scouts? I'm a fan of 1.
1. Yep, 1 is definitely it. I think it was, I can't remember exactly the mirror map that or the mirror match that we saw, but I think it might have been a Vortex game. And basically, yeah, it's a huge burden upon your economy to go for that second scout in the early game. And just typically because not only have you got to pay for that scout, but your town center is idle for that time, and subsequently the villager is missing that you would have created in that meantime.
The thing is, though, since there are no wolves on this map, if you only get 1 deer spot, it's actually getting really tight to get up to feudal age then, if your opponent gets the other 3 deer spots.
Yeah, it can be very, very unfortunate when it comes to that. But yeah, one of the things that we saw is that if you do go for that second scout, you're going to be a little bit delayed on your age up. And when it comes to this matchup in particular, it's Rus versus Rus. I know a lot of you guys will be rolling your eyes out there. Don't worry, I'm rolling them too. Sometimes I can barely even see them in the back of my head. But it's going to be about just getting in to your opponent's fishing line as quickly as possible and killing their fishing boats before they can convert. That's really what it is. So it doesn't matter. You can neglect your economy as much as possible. Just go over there, kill your enemy before they can kill you. That's the best way to play this map. But speaking of the spawn on this map, Nilly, bit of an interesting one, don't you think?
Spawn actually feels very reasonable.
Really?
Yeah, what should I look at?
I was just looking at the way that the water is spawned on the map.
Don't try to make some penis jokes.
Okay.
You know, this is the Microsoft-sponsored professional tournament. Please behave.
Oh, I apologize. We are playing the official Microsoft game. I will do my best to behave in the future. I apologize, Nilly. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to expect if these players somehow manage to make it past 5 minutes in this game.
So the big question is, how many resources do we have to morph some ships? How many fishing ships can we still have there? And it often comes down to who got more bounty. In this case, both get the same, so very similar. I think just going forward and morphing 2 seems to be the matter. And then the big question is, who affords a wooden fortress when?
Yeah, I definitely think that's a big play. We now see LucifroN going to be coming in with 8 villagers on his Golden Gate. So he's trying to get up as quickly as possible. Tock yet to even click up at this point. Going to be dropping it down with 9 villagers. He probably knows he's a little bit behind. Hasn't actually scouted out his opponent yet. But obviously that 9th villager not really going to contribute too much to the build time. But yeah, LucifroN quite ahead at this point in time. We'll see as he begins moving forward 2 of those fishing boats. We see that he scouts out his opponent. He probably knows that, or he definitely knows that his opponent is behind, and there is room to outplay right now. As look at this, he actually comes right up to the fish of his opponent, and he says g'day.
Better love story than Twilight.
Now, Nilly, do you know what the counter is to this play?
I don't know.
The counter is to take your fishing boats and actually just run them away. Because your fishing boats have a fast movement speed than the Lodya fishing boats that are morphing. So what you do is you just spread them out all over the map. And that's how you outplay it. But it seems like people haven't really worked that one out yet. Looks like Tock going to be trying to convert his own boats up. But take a look at this. LucifroN trying his best to spot those out. He's sending up his own attack ship towards the boats of his opponent. Let's see if he spots it. He's about to. These guys haven't transformed yet. They've still got a couple seconds. And keep in mind, they've only got 125 health. They're losing 40 health a volley. And he does actually manage to take one out before it comes up. And keep in mind, when it transforms over, it has the exact same percentage of health as it does when it was a fishing boat. And so 3 volleys came off. It went from 125 down to 5 health. When he transformed over, he went up to 400 health, but obviously it was a percentage of that, so he was on like 7 health.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. And behind this 3 fishing ships still for LucifroN as well. Now pressures quite a bit more. And Tock now goes for Wooden Fortress next to his dock. This can't be the right choice.
Yeah, this is a tough one, isn't it? I mean, he puts the Wooden Fortress down. He's going to be able to stay alive for the moment. And he'll need to get the arrow slits in there. That'll be able to extend that range out and be able to defend it a little bit. The issue that he's going to have is that his enemy is getting ahead. So behind this, you know, LucifroN's able to use those deep sea fish. He's able to have complete reign over the fridge. Over the fridge? Did I say over the fridge? He can eat whatever he likes out of the fridge. Yeah, I mean, you can see right now that the range on that Wooden Fortress, I mean, it barely reaches the other side of the dock.
And how do you proceed from here now? Yeah, you can get some nice shorefish. That's good for you. But messing up will be pretty tricky. And now LucifroN simply should not underreact. Maybe add a second dock. Just continue with his loiter texture production. And he will always have the better economy because he has 3 fishing ships still working.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. He's always going to have that advantage. Not to mention that there's a Wooden Fortress up here on the front line that is, for all intents and purposes, useless.
At least when it comes to the wooden camp, but we don't see the Wooden Fortress on the other side. LucifroN now even adding a blacksmith. Interesting. Tries to get the attack upgrade potentially.
Yeah, curious decision. He's also going to be dropping down a stable as well, so could be looking to get the +1 range defense. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. More attack ships coming out, though, so he is looking to fight on water for a little bit longer here. And I feel like Tock, I mean, this is a difficult spot. If you're looking at from this perspective and you're wondering, how the heck do I get back into the game? That is a really difficult question to ask. You're already down, so... you're already down with such a disadvantage, and I guess there's a few questions. Number one, do I bother investing in water anymore? And if so, what should I do? You know, in response, should he just go for double TC at this point? I mean, he's got a couple tickets in the bank. He could probably afford to get a town center up soon, but isn't his enemy just going to outboom him on the water?
That's always the big option, right? You have to hope that your opponent is somehow screwing up, that they're maybe underproducing water, but look at that. LucifroN not doing him that favor and still looks at 6 solid loiter attack ships. Second dock still not finished for Tock. LucifroN still in full control.
Yeah, he's looking very, very strong with the huge amount of attack ships he's got. And I guess the other point to note is that when it comes to the Rus, they're incredibly flexible when it comes to these water fights, just simply because if he wins the water fight, well, he can just take these attack ships and he can turn them back into fishing boats. And he's a very happy camper because, you know, he's going to be able to make 6 villages out of it. But you can see him trying his best. The villagers on the shore here, heading inside. He still actually doesn't have the arrow slits upgrade. So a little bit of a misplay here from Tock. It would help him out a huge amount here. The other alternative would be to get up to the castle age and get that springlead placement out, but I feel like it's too little too late at this point.
It also feels like investing the 100 gold to buy that stone. Not really what he wants to do. He kind of wants to keep his wood count high. Still only 2 docks. LucifroN just in so much control. The big question will be, what will the knights achieve? Especially because the Wooden Fortress is in no man's land.
Yeah, Wooden Fortress obviously going to be able to keep those villages nice and safe. They'll be able to jump inside, but as you mentioned, there's no Wooden Fortress on the wood line at this point in time. And that means that villagers... going to be very prone to being attacked out there. In addition to that, villagers on the gold mine as well, unprotected, and they are being scouted out now by the scout of LucifroN. He is well aware of what's going on, but +1 being picked up on the attack or ranged attack for LucifroN as well. So he's going to be doing extra damage out on that bay.
Oh, look at that! Even brings the fishing ships now. 10 attack ships and 1 fishing ship in there. Now goes for the spread, tries to take the big engagement. 10 against 6 ships.
Yeah, that is a huge amount of ships now coming through. 12 attack ships for LucifroN at this point, going up against the 6 attack ships of his opponent, more than double the amount, and he is really coming in for the kill at the same time on the gold mine. Take a look at that, Nilly, and we can see he's dropping down that second town center. We talked about that a little bit earlier and whether it was a good idea, but I mean, judging by the amount that he's losing on the water, I guess it is a potential option that he's got, but the question is at what cost? At what cost as he continues to lose villagers, not paying attention at all. It looks like there might be 6 villagers going down on that gold mine that night. Now going to be working towards sieging down the town center, or actually taking down the villagers out there. It's not looking pretty at all for Tock.
Oh man, no reaction there on the gold is so surprising to me, and more villagers falling. Only now sees it after potentially losing like 7 villagers. GG.
And that's going to be the horse that broke the camel's back. Yes, you heard that correctly. There are a lot of horses on that camel, and unfortunately, that was the horse that broke it. Really tough game there from Tock. LucifroN played that incredibly well. Very methodical from him. With Tock, obviously did go for that second town center. I feel like he probably could have kept his head in the game as well if he didn't lose those villagers. That was the big thing. If he kept those villagers alive, he probably could have been all right.
Still losing water. It felt like LucifroN was in such a good position. I think even if the TC goes up, the boom is not really an option there.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, to be real, let's think about, let's extrapolate a little bit. The town center goes up. He makes lots of villagers. LucifroN then reaches the 3rd age because he's got complete water control and he's fishing on the water. He takes all 5 relics. He takes one of the sacred sites. He's got a 600 gold lead. He's probably going up to Imperial shortly. Yeah, I don't think there's much you can do as Tock. You got to win the water, don't you?
I think so. Yeah, I think if you lose the water, you have to have another advantage. But like being so far behind in Castle Age, certainly not really an option for you. And Tock will need 4 games in a row if he still wants to get a ticket to the main event.
That is a really good point, Millie. That was the 3rd game. Next game, match point. So if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you stick around because the next video coming up, it's going to be potentially the final one.
And click that bell for notification.
Millie, I got to get you on board. We got to start you doing those.
Watched enough sellout YouTubers, so. This Boulder Bay game was sponsored by Fridges.
Samsung, for all your refrigeration needs.
Okay.
We should reach out to Samsung.
Yep. Sort of.
All right, the next game, LucifroN is sitting in the lobby at the moment. Taking a look and seeing Tock is also in the lobby. I'm impressed that Tock made it this entire way.
Yeah. What was his bracket again? I think he was the Aussie Slayer, right? You have to hate him.
Was he the one who took out Jaguars? Yeah, he is. He took out Jaguars. He took out Hut. Who else did he take out? I guess Matt is as well.
Matt
so many
before.
big names.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was really hard. I did not pick him coming out of this at all. Yeah, impressive run.
It was behind 1-0 in both cases.
Could you imagine a potential reverse sweep coming in right now? That'd be pretty wild.
How did we have Boulder Bay? I look at the Jaguars versus Kyo game, and we had Boulder Bay, and Jaguars didn't play Roos.
Well, that's why he lost.
Yeah. How did that happen?
Why did he not pick the Rus? What's going on with him?
So likely that Kyo banned Rus away from Jaguars, but how did Jaguars not ban Rus then?
Yeah.
Jaguars forgot to ban Rus with 3 bans in that round. Okay.
He played French twice.
Who did?
Is that allowed? Is he meant to play?
No.
French?
Well, I think it's back in the overlay. Where did it happen?
In Jaguars versus Kyo.
Jaguars versus Kyo? I don't see French twice. I see Abbasid,
Don't you?
HRE French for Jaguars.
Abbasid. Oh, you see Abbasid HRE French?
Yeah. Let's upgrade.
Hold on. I'm gonna open your stream. I'm gonna look and see. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong space. Give me a second here. Is it on your screen?
It's on my screen. Hello.
Oh yeah, it is too.
Drongo's looking at Smash GG. Yeah, that's what the players do themselves. Yeah. Sometimes they're randomly like, yeah, French, whatever. Just get it over with.
Just throw it in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, don't mind me. I sometimes like to breathe from my mouth.
Check Wikipedia, my man.
Yes, I should be. All right, we've got the civilizations for the next game.
Okay, next game should be on Lipini. Okay. And
Lipini. Interesting.
Since we don't have any bands today, it's actually going to be Mongols.
Mongols up against the Abbasid. That's dangerous. All right, I am going to update these scores. Geez, LucifroN up 3-0. And he's on the Mongols. I mean, save the Mongols for match point. Hey, LucifroN, jeez.
True. That way around even. I thought it was the other way around that Kyo was going for Mongols now. Oh, okay. And we had behind the scenes talking how long could a best of 7 potentially take? And we had some discussion it can't be under 2 hours. And then I remembered last week we already had a best of 7 that only took 1.5 hours as well. And this one will take longer, but LucifroN 3-0 ahead. Mongols next. I would love to see this set go a bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely speedrunning, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He's trying his best to get this one out.
Well, maybe flights getting more expensive on the hour. And he just wants to do me a favor.
I think that's got to be it. That's definitely got to be it.
Maybe he has training scheduled later with his brother Vortex, who's already in the main event.
Oh yeah, and you know these guys are doing that as well. I've got this theory. They both live in the same house. They've got computers in different rooms, and they're on. They've got a Discord that is on. 24/7, and they're just constantly talking game. It's got to be it.
Okay. Or their own shower, and then they're on speakers, still discussing strategies. And they're not allowed to both brush their teeth at the same time, so that one can always think about strategies while the other is brushing their teeth.
It actually sounds like you're describing Korean MOBA players. So that's what they do. Cloud9. That's what they. All those big LCS teams.
It's the dream, no? Full professionalism. And isn't that what a lot of people dreamt of? Having a sibling, and you are just grinding games together and having the enjoyment and getting better together. So they're really living that. And I kind of felt bad when Vortex said, okay, LucifroN last week had a headache, couldn't really perform too well. And it felt like LucifroN and Vortex now getting 10 days to get the crazy strategies, the best preparation. I think they might push it to another level if both of them make it.
Yeah, I agree. Both of them make it, it's going to be absolutely wild. Oh, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. But yeah, who knows? Maybe Tock turns it around, but we'll find out. G'day, fellas, and welcome to the 4th game between LucifroN, who spawns up towards the north side of the map, northeast side of the map, playing as the Mongols. His opponent on the opposite side of the map. Nilly, who have we got?
We have Tock again, and he has to be relatively happy with this map spawn. Feels like Woodline is really close to his town center. Down 3-0, though, against Mongols, the civilization with the highest win rate in the qualifier.
Yeah, Mongols, a very difficult civilization to go up against, especially as the Abbasid typically is the Abbasid dynasty. You kind of want to buy a little bit of space. At least in the early game, you want to try and get that second town center up, but I suspect it's going to be very difficult against the Mongols. But he has opened up with a scout opening, so the double scout opening is going to be providing him plenty of coverage when it comes to the sheep out on the map. But on the other side, LucifroN only going to be going for a single Khan. No scout coming out of him.
And LucifroN sends 0 villagers on wood and already goes on to gold. So this is going to be a relatively fast feudal age. Often have we seen Mongol players trying to go for some tower rush shenanigans with some spearmen to really punish the weak early game of Abbasid.
Yeah, this is quite curious that we are seeing this, and it looks like he's just going for, dare I say it, a fast feudal.
Phew.
And, often we talk about, fast castles. Fast feudal doesn't really exist because most feudals are always fast, right? You want to get up there quickly. Well, not always with the Mongols. It's very common that we will see stables getting thrown down, barracks getting thrown down. And obviously, he's got this Uvu out here. Ready to potentially, take on the aura for the barracks or for the stable, but nothing from him today. It's just going to be very straightforward.
Okay, and most of the time, Mongols still happy about that, right? Obviously, with the over, we get the extra mana stone, allowing us to get more units out there on the field as well. And the big question is, LucifroN, what is he going for? Is it a stable opening? Is it going to be an archery range opening?
Or, you know what? I just had like this little idea in my head. I think I know what it's going to be. I love to throw out these ideas, but, I'm off, I'm not sure if you've heard of this saying, Nilly, but if you throw enough spaghetti at the wall, eventually some of it will stick. And so that's what I like to do with my ideas. I throw out, a lot of the things that I think these players are going to do, and eventually one of it sticks.
Where are you throwing your spaghetti?
On the wall.
Doesn't that hurt your spaghetti?
It probably arguably hurts the wall a little bit more, but, eventually it sticks, and that's what's important.
Okay.
So what I reckon is going to happen, I reckon LucifroN might even give him a little bit of a false sense of security. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see, LucifroN encourage him to go for a fast second town center, and then he looks to punish it. So what we saw in the very beginning of Age of Empires 4, just as the game came out, is that players were always going for this double town center play. It was very typical to see players go for 2 town centers in the beginning. No matter the civ, it didn't matter if you were English, Abbasid, didn't matter. And people worked out how to counter it, but it took time. And the trick was a strategy that was developed by Hut, and it was a triple range ram rush. And I got a feeling that we might see something similar today.
Still 2 villages on gold. Now pasture here. So archer rangers will be late in general. Relatively late approach. If you didn't have 6 on wood, I would think it might be a fast castle play, actually. I'm still curious. I wouldn't mind to see a full all-in with 3 archer rangers.
Yeah, the triple range all-in was a very strong, and he spots it as well. So now seeing the stone, this is it to me. Honestly, if I'm LucifroN, I'm like, oh yeah, we got this, baby. So yeah, he's kind of like falling into this trap where he's going to be going for the double town center, and it's very easily going to be punished by LucifroN. That's as long as he's looking to do that. So I really wouldn't be surprised if that's what he's doing. But he's actually going for a huge amount of pastures. Take a look at this, dropping down the second pasture. So this is kind of like the equivalent of dropping down farms, for any other civilization, because it's an investment in your food economy. Now, when we look at his food economy, we can see there's not a lot of sheep that he's got left. And now this is a consequence of not opening with that second scout. We mentioned earlier, Tock started out with 2 scouts, whereas LucifroN only the 1. And so as a consequence of that, it means his food economy is going to be behind significantly. We can see Tock sitting there with 8 sheep, very happy.
Yeah, and still berries up for grabs as well. Not unlikely that the town center will be kind of in that direction, might leave his gold and stone exposed at the front. Or maybe he just builds the town center relatively open to the front and then goes with the mill for those berries. The big question mark is still, what is LucifroN going for, and the answers with the archery range.
Yeah, so I'm going to be opening up with a single archery range. It gets scouted out by the scout of Tack. My game's freezing a little bit. I'm going to just pause mine for a little bit. I don't know if yours is freezing as well. I think sometimes it can do this freeze and sometimes it doesn't. But it seems to have worked itself out now, Millie. What's your in-game timer at?
5:29.
Okay, perfect. We're exactly synced up right now. Scout's going to be coming in towards the town center. Take a look at that. Apologies, I just lost my voice there, but those scouts both going to be going down. They do indeed. This isn't good for Tock. He is completely in the blind. I would expect that now we would just see both of the rangers getting dropped down by LucifroN immediately. When he's got the wood, of course.
Okay, let's take a look. 250 gold in the bank. So maybe blacksmith has to be added there as well, simply because you need to get siege engineers eventually as well. I'm a bit surprised. 260 gold now. That's the attack upgrade. That is siege engineers. Now a barracks.
A barracks coming in. I did not expect this, but another thing I didn't expect, look where Tock is placing this town center. This is incredibly dangerous. So going up against the Mongols, a civilization notorious for staying on 1TC for a long time, always sort of pushing their aggressive side. Placing a town center this far away from your primary town center, it is really concerning, especially because it's towards your open side as well. Now, it's important, obviously, that you keep your food safe. I don't know about this, though. It's a very expensive outpost that you've got out there, isn't it?
Oh, mainly for villager production there. We have seen, I think LucifroN even play a similar town center yesterday and then completely left it exposed after he finished his berries. No single farm around it, and yeah, mainly for the villager production there. For now, quite some defense. Tock built an archer range, cancelled it, and now replaces it with the stable.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting decision there coming out from him going up with the stable. Obviously, he's playing in the dark at the moment, so it makes a lot of sense if he wants to get more scouts out to obviously drop down the stable. But yeah, I feel like in his position as Tock, typically the best thing to do in this spot would just to be go archers yourself and then use your villagers to take out any potential rams that are going to be coming in. But we'll have to see how he plays it, whether he looks to be doing that. And by the same token, looking to see whether LucifroN is actually going to be trying to punish with that. But LucifroN definitely having a little bit of insight as to what his enemy might be up to. We can see the Khan actually isn't out on the map. Speaking of which, where is the Khan?
A new Khan rises.
Right on time, sir. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, so I mean, like, there's two stables coming out. We sort of questioned a little bit earlier about the barracks, but it seems like it's definitely the right choice. Production is somewhat stopped, but he does spot that second town center. Obviously, he scouted that out a little earlier with the stone outcropping there. But yeah, now LucifroN going to continue jostling around, looking for an area to sort of poke in and prod.
It just feels like after the double scout loss, I would have really liked to see another scout being added, just to get a better idea of what's coming. Because he has no idea that it's going to be double barracks, one archer range. His full horseman won't do enough here. I think it's like full spearmen and then some rams. And double stable is not good at defending against that.
Yeah, now LucifroN's actually going to scout this out. He's going to see that there is indeed double stable here, so he could look to punish this. An outpost was coming down out on the gold. I think this is a very greedy outpost as well, because that to me signifies that he wanted to age up. By putting that outpost there, he's saying, hey, I need gold. I'm going to put an outpost there. That's for my aging up. But he's not going to be able to do that. Instead, going to be dropping down an archery range of his own. But we'll have a look at what LucifroN's done. He's gone with a second barracks back here and also a blacksmith. So obviously identifying that the double stable has come out from his opponent. He says we'll match it with a double barracks and we're going to add in a blacksmith for good measure.
Yeah, but actually it's going to be man-at-arm play, so not really going for the spearman there at all. Tock is reacting with the double archer range, so was a bit scared of the spearman. But LucifroN, he will just go for a massive push in Castle Age, and with all that stone, man-at-arms will be flying in like crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty intense. He's definitely aware of this window, so he knows that he needs to finish the game, or at least do a significant amount of damage. So, I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier about how LucifroN was trying to speedrun this series. He's definitely going to be looking to finish this game out. I would say probably before about the 18 or 19 minute mark. So at the moment we're sitting at 9:52. So that's where I'm going to go for, Nilly. That's where I'm going to put my bets. But I tell you what, Tock's going to be in for a very difficult time, because his gold on the front has been almost completely isolated. You see that the outpost is going up. That should get up, but he's going to have a difficult time. I suspect there's going to just be so much pressure applied here.
Not going to be too easy. Tower should go up. Now some pressure here with the spearmen. Camel archers doing some reasonable damage, but need to go back.
Yeah. Nilly, I want to ask you a question. Is your game freezing a lot, or is that just mine?
It's super clean for me.
Really? I'm getting a lot of stutter that's coming in. It's very distracting for me, so it's unfortunate. Maybe I might restart my game after this one. But speaking of restarting my game, it looks like LucifroN's not going to need to restart his, because he's doing, well, a little bit of a tough time overextending, I'd almost say here.
Yeah, felt like it. Tried to keep the opponent honest and will lose some of his army. But honestly, like Spearman Archer going down, it's not the worst thing ever if you want to make a full man-at-arm push happen now.
Yeah, that's exactly what comes out. We see the 4 men-at-arms coming out of 2 barracks. Also, I'm not sure if you saw that, but they did a little bit of spinning. So taking inspiration from their seafaring brothers and deciding to spin to win. But we'll check in on LucifroN. It looks like he's actually got Iron Undermesh coming through yet to unlock that siege engineering. We actually see the improved siege engineering is coming through right now. So potential Mangonel on the front line. Is that what you suspect? That's what I suspect.
Improved siege engineers, yeah, so clearly wants to go for something more than Mangonel, or at least wants to give himself the option. I think like Man-at-Arm plus Mangonel feels like this crazy composition against Feudal Age army, unless Tock obviously gets onto massive amount of horsemen, and honestly, on the way to Castle Age, still double stable, I think a defense could easily be possible.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him. Now, keep in mind, obviously, he's playing the Abbasid dynasty. So one of the good things about the Abbasid dynasty, your infantry, you can actually make the siege without having to make a siege workshop. Obviously, the Mongols are the only other civilization that can do that, but they're gonna have to pay for it. The potential defense is definitely there for Tock. I would love to see. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I'd love to see like 5 Mangonels sitting behind a wall. But take a look at this raid that is happening on the woodline. So many villagers going down.
Oh yeah, raid at the other side as well happening, but LucifroN clearly doing way more damage. Just feels like idle time has to be going down quite a bit. Income per minute now drops quite heavily for Tock as well. Tries to save villagers, but simply doesn't have the army.
Yeah, really not a good position for him. Not a lot of gold in here either. He's sitting here with 20 idle villagers at the moment. Only 100 gold in the bank as well. So even if he manages to get up, he's going to need to try and get some knights out or some crossbows out. But yeah, just not a lot of gold. Now just resorting to gathering stone. It's the only thing that really seems safe up towards this northern position. And a random villager just getting taken out by the Khan. I'm not sure if you saw that, but Khan just doing what it does best and shooting things with its arrow.
It's kind of a one-man army. There are 2 men-at-arms now helping at the bottom as well. We'll find more villager kills there at the bottom, and Tock in quite some pain. 46 villagers still, but only 5 military.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But he's almost up to the next age. Tock slowly but steadily getting that. 2 men-at-arms coming in again. A couple of spears going to be looking to back up those men-at-arms. We don't see the upgrade coming through for those spears just yet, but obviously he remains cognizant that those stables are the only thing that he's really got going for him. So it means that he's probably going to be adding in lancers.
Let's take a look. Resources are really high, but gold count not that crazy. So Q right now, only 2 crossbows. Maybe feels okay. I only saw men-at-arms. Maybe I don't want to go for anything else. Oh, some idle villagers next to the Starling Town Center.
Oh, yeah, the 7 inside. Yeah, wow. A whole bunch. But now it looks like he's managed to make his way back towards his base. He's walled off all this area down towards the south. He's going to try and trap the Khan in, but you can see the Khan just doing what it does. It just guns and runs. It's got 1.62 movement speed. You know what? I'm going to advocate for a movement speed reduction of the Khan. Let's do that, Nearly. Let's reduce it from 1.62 down to 1.52. There you go. That's what I'm advocating for. But Khan might be going down here as the camels try and chase it away. Not having a lot of luck here. But we'll check in with LucifroN. I want to see what he's got going on in his base. Obviously got the step redoubt. Looking to actually play for the late game here. Horticulture coming in for him.
Okay, wheelbarrow comes in as well. Yeah, more food income. And maybe feels okay. I can't break this guy right now. Khan, 21 HP. Should probably get away. Kamara's just trying to chase it down, but not going to happen. Pretty solid defense for Tock after all.
Yeah, getting a lot of value out of this this camel or this Khan. It's just taken out so many units. It's absolutely ludicrous. It takes out another camel archer. But now it looks like towards the front of the base for Tock, he's actually managed to get a Springald emplacement inside that outpost. That's going to give him a lot of control for this area and sort of force a battering ram out of LucifroN if he does want to push in here. And that's exactly what we see him doing, dropping down that battering ram inside the stealth forest now. Down towards the south, there was a man-at-arm that was attacking villages on this berry patch, but it looks like it's managed to have been taken care of. Now, I want to do a bit of a stock take, Millie. We've got 50 villagers for LucifroN, 52 for Tock.
I'm actually shocked how close this game is, yeah. Military count 13-7, so advantage there for LucifroN. So, gets the raid in a bit there, but Springald Tower is dealing with that at the bottom. I think if Tock can defend for another like 2-3 minutes, he might actually get into the villager advantage.
Yeah, he's not looking terrible at this point. I mean, we came into this game and we talked about the potential threat that that LucifroN posed, and obviously there was a bit of a timer that goes along with that, and it seems like that timer is slowly but steadily getting to the end of its clock. It's tick tock. It's tock. Yeah, you get it. You get it right.
Yeah. Okay. Now the big question, the Ram. Where is it trying to go? Is it going to be the attack at the bottom? Because that's where Tock is already evacuating. Or was it going to be the main base? And that's a nice reaction by Tock. Maybe felt a bit underprotected there at the bottom, even though he had a Springle Tower.
Yeah, Springle Tower going to be doing its best to hold on, but not going to be having a lot of luck. He would be throwing those villagers away if he wanted to keep them. You can see it does 30 damage through to the battering ram, so it's going to take at least 24 shots for it to go down, unfortunately. But for Tock, it's going to be a lot sooner that outpost goes down.
Absolutely, you still do reasonable damage there. 200 per hit, and not even cutting off reinforcements. What armies are we going for? Now some men-at-arms being mixed in by Tock, while LucifroN still full men-at-arms by him. So crossbows actually will be very reasonable for Tock.
Yeah, this is a very smart move coming out by Tock. Now, LucifroN's the kind of guy who's going to keep his Mongol Khan with his army. He's going to recognize the increase in crossbows out on the field, and he's going to respond with a Mangonel immediately, and that is 100% the right choice. And playing as the Mongols, it means that you're able to do this. You don't have to drop down the Siege Workshop. You don't have to save up all those resources and then eventually drop it down. You can just drop it down immediately because that's the kind of civilization that the Mongols is, getting off a huge shot onto those villagers, and you can see so many of them have just lost their health, almost down at half health, despite having those textile upgrades.
Okay, what are they doing now? Would love to see them drop off their resources, maybe go for the bottom again, but so low on HP would feel like a kind of risky move to be out, but also feels like Tock kind of has to take some risks.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a point where Tock needs to be taking those risks. We can actually see that LucifroN dropping down a Springled as well, just in anticipation of a response coming out from Tock. So maybe we start thinking about potential scout armies. That is always a possibility. Villagers going to get pulled here, looking to try and take down the battering ram. They're going to be so careful. They are playing with fire. Those Mangonels lie in wait, just waiting to get their shots off.
I don't like the amount of siege by Tock here. Crossbow in the back is something pretty nice. Springle's trying to focus down the Mangonel, but still 136 HP. And maybe the first shot's flying in.
First shot's not going to be very successful. You can see the Mangonel continuing to be attacked by that outpost with the Springled emplacement in it. It does actually manage to take it out, but have a look at the villagers down towards this woodline that are just getting absolutely shredded by the men-at-arms that are coming out. And now we see that arrow getting fired off into the air. It's going to be the armor arrow, and the villager count is starting to dwindle now. 64 villagers for Tock, 61 villagers for LucifroN. So he continues to even this up. Khan goes down. Crossbows trying their best to hold on, but not having a lot of luck here.
100 population against 80. Crossbow didn't really see that raid. Also putting the villagers a bit late for my taste. If only had like 2 Springles in the back there as well, Tock. It felt like that could have been a good way to deal with all those Mangonels and Springles. LucifroN just storming him here.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job, and he's in his base. And keep in mind, this entire time, LucifroN, he's not idle. He is just, all of his resources are being invested into his military. Whereas Tock, on the other hand, he's pulling his villagers to burn down siege. He's being forced off his woodline. He's got villagers absolutely everywhere. If you take a look at the villagers that he's got working at the moment, he had barely 30 villagers that are working. Now he's managed to get 26 out onto food. So hopefully he's going to have a bit more resources in his back pocket. But continuing to be attacked down towards his southern point, he's not having a good time.
Oh, at least defense with that, but yeah, had to pull villagers again. Income simply not looking pretty. More and more raids constantly coming in, and the siege control just looks so good. Mangonels getting more hits in, and it feels like the front tower, which is the backbone of the defense, is now getting heavily attacked as well.
Yeah, this front tower was really impressive. It put up a great fight, but it does look like it is going to go down. The Mangonels looking to unfold on it as well. The men-at-arms, a huge mass of them, 12 men-at-arms now. And I think that Tock really just, at this point, it sort of feels like he's never really been able to stabilize, and that's been the big issue. The men-at-arms came in very, very quickly. as we now enter the 21st minute. There's just been a constant stream of man-at-arms just running in here. Now with some Springlords coming out for Tock, he's going to look to try and trade out with his enemy's Springlords, trading 1 for 1. But the issue that he's going to have is there's a lot of men-at-arms now coming in for his opponent, looking to siege those down. First Springlord might be going down, second one almost going down as well. So yeah, Tock in a very difficult spot.
Oh man, pop 90 for Tock, so at least increasing in that regard, but has to micro back with his crossbowmen, which are now backed against the wall. Not going to be the prettiest spot. LucifroN actually only 10 population ahead, but it just feels like so much blue and red space.
Yeah, and that's really where it comes into it. So as I mentioned earlier, you know, LucifroN sitting here, he's got all these resources that he's gathering because his villagers are actually out there working. He doesn't even need to think about his economy. Whereas Tock is balancing his villagers in between the resources. He's got 23 idols at the moment. He's got units in his base, on top of his production, on his wood lines. He's not having fun.
Oh man, well, maybe he is a very cheerful person that is just happy to participate, but I certainly would not be too happy. This was so close for him to make it into a major tournament, but it just feels like LucifroN, who we felt is one of the biggest names that didn't make it in qualifier number 1, is looking pretty damn good now.
Yeah, he's looking to seal out this game. Keep in mind, this is a best of 7. This is game number 4. LucifroN has won the first 3 games. If he wins this game, he goes through to Berlin. He will go through to the LAN, and he will look to take his portion of that $100,000 prize pool for N4C. But Tock, on the other hand, I mean, he's got a big hill to climb right now. He is down 3 games, potentially looking to be knocked out within the next 10 seconds, next 2 seconds nearly. I don't know about you, but it's not looking pretty.
He's still moving villagers, and we felt like, wow, was he AFK in other games before? The Boulder Bay game also felt like not a lot of stuff moving the last 30 seconds, so I'm not really sure how long Tock will stay in this one. Obviously, the biggest tournament success ever if he qualifies here, but it's just so many fires to put out.
Yeah, and that's a great way to say it, Millie. I mean, he's just had fires everywhere, and the fires continue to burn now towards the south. 6 men at arms coming in with a battering ram. You know, if he sends the battering ram in by itself, it's just going to get sieged down by villagers. If you send the men at arms in by themselves, well, they're just going to get killed by the outposts. So you send in both of them together, and you got yourselves a winning combination. So that's one fire he's going to have to put out at the same time. He's getting attacked multiple angles. You see that man-at-arms continuing to run rampant through his base. Mangonel out here sitting on top of the production. It looks like there's actually 2 Mangonels out now, 2 Springlords as well. The perfect number. I don't think you need any more than that. Now, once again, onto that wood line. Going to be able to chase these villagers, and Tock does tap out. LucifroN goes through, and he is victorious. He will be in the final 8 for Berlin, for N4C. I don't know about you, Nilly, but I think many people expected this coming into it. LucifroN was speedrunning there.
Oh man. Certainly one of the big favorites to go through. I didn't expect it to be in that convincing fashion. That gives us quite some hope that he will go deep in the main event there as well. Certainly one of the big names that was still missing on our roster, and I'm happy to have him.
Yeah, he's an absolutely incredible player. This guy's got a massive history. But by the same token, Tock put up an incredible fight. There were a couple games in there that looked really close. Game 1, Game 2 especially, that Holy Roman Empire mirror. Unfortunate for him, wasn't Tock's day. But I'm looking forward to seeing what else he's going to be able to bring to this table, because I'm sure this is not going to be the last time we see him.
Yeah, very likely. And, well, especially if you, like, continues to play there. He had big wins, honestly. Like, after those wins where lots of people already counted him out, I was excited to see him today, but obviously found his master in LucifroN. But yeah, I would love to see him. Obviously, we have lots and lots of more Age of Empires 4 tournaments coming up in the future. $125,000 tournament announced after this as well. Would love to see him having another deep run there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good fun. All right, well, if you're watching this on YouTube, I hope you guys have enjoyed this series. Big shout out to Nilly. It was an absolute pleasure casting with you. And make sure you guys check out Nilly's YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description. Nilly, did you have any closing words to say before we say goodbye to the YouTube folks?
Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
You're good at that. You're very good at that. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Oh, Nilly, that was a quick series, but yeah, I mean, I think it went the way that we expected it to go. It was just, Yeah, I don't know. Tock, at points he looked like he was AFK, didn't he? There wasn't much moving.
At some points. I think we should hear it from the man. LucifroN is waiting for the interview, so let's just jump into that one in our interview booth.
All right.
Congratulations, LucifroN, on making it to the main event. How do you feel?
Yeah, well, I'm feeling great, of course. Like the games went as I kind of planned them. So of course, winning 4-0 and qualifying for the main event, it's the best possible outcome. So yeah, I'm really happy right now.
You played incredibly well during those games. You were going up against a guy, obviously Tock. Did you know much about this guy before you came into it?
Thank you. Well, like before the whole tournament, I already had seen some of his performances. Like, and once I knew I was playing him, so I kind of scouted all his like tournament games and so on. So I had a solid idea how he was playing. And I mean, I played him a couple times on ladder as well. I think he's 1.9 or something on those lines. So yeah, I knew him. Like, I don't think he's ever made it this far into a tournament, but yeah, I knew him, and I know in the past he's beaten some good players, and in this tournament he did as well. Like Ayagu's Hat and so on are really strong. So yeah, I was a bit surprised to see him do this well, but I kind of knew he was good.
So after you not making it through in the first weekend and having a performance that I would assume you weren't too happy with, how did your last week look like? How did you prepare for this weekend?
So, like in terms of playing, I played more or less the same amount of games, but I worked a lot more on the drafts, especially in the best of 3 drafts, like the last round with 3 bans. I feel like I'm in general, I'm putting myself behind in every single draft in tournaments. But then last week I also kind of messed it. So I practiced that a lot. Like I tried to put myself ahead in the drafts and so on. But then in the end, yesterday I messed the draft as well in the last best of 3. So I don't know. I guess I got to work harder on that.
I want to ask you a question about that second game that you played in the series. It was the Holy Roman Empire versus the Holy Roman Empire on Danube River. You decided not to go for water. Can you explain a little bit about the way that you feel about water in that matchup on that map? What was the whole idea there?
Like the main point of that build is like you get to castle around 1 minute earlier with prelates on the map, so you can steal or get 3 of the opponent's relics or middle relics, whatever you want to call them. And the whole idea is to get 4 relics for yourself and only leaving 1 for the opponent. That way, then you can wall in, and I feel that eventually your economy is way better. Like the Shorefish has been nerfed, not only you gather slower, but there's also half the amount. So I checked the way he played this matchup because he played it through the tournament, and I realized, okay, he goes fish and then like fast castle without any units and tries to get like 3 relics. So I thought that I could like counter build him with like stealing 4 relics and walling myself in, then going fast imp, because he was also spamming knights in all the games. So I thought, okay, get 4 relics for myself, wall myself in, go fast Imperial, and then my eco should be way stronger. No? And eventually 4 relics against 1, there's not much he can really do. But yeah, the way the map spawned and so on, I wasn't able to get like, I was only able to get 3. That it's still good, but because of how it played out, I felt I was kind of behind. But then there was one moment where he like kind of dived into my castle with a lot of men at arms, and I had like a keep and lance nets and so on. And I think he kind of threw that game there. I felt I was behind. I should watch the replay, but my sensation in it was that I was behind.
Yeah, and you made a great comeback happen there, and maybe some overextension. You were taking some great fights with Siege. The craziest game, though, was actually not in the set. It was yesterday against Capot on Hill and Dale. English against HRE. One of the best Age of Empires 4 games I've ever seen. What was going on there?
So, like, my plan for that best of 3 was, like, in my mind, French versus English is highly favored in Arabia. So my plan for that series was to win 2-0, like just win the Abbasid Mirror in Lepani, then win the French English in Arabia. And I didn't think too much about the other map. So I didn't even pick China as one of my sips. So going into that, I had either Rus or English. And I had practiced a bit Rus against Holy Roman in that map, but I lost every single game against my brother. So I thought, okay, let's just play English, let's just play aggressive, and then kind of try to wall him in, delay as much as possible his relics, and then go to the super late game. But yeah, I hadn't like. That's probably the first time I've played English in that map in like 3 months or something like that. Like, it was just kind of complete improvisation. I just thought that maybe it could work if I just delay the relics and then drag it to the very late game. I managed to snipe a lot of builds early on, so that of course helped. And then just the game we kind of played from there. He had the relics, I had the better build numbers, and eventually I guess I won.
Yeah, it was an absolutely beautiful game. I actually was looking at that game and I said I would love to be able to keep this game and be able to go back and look at it. Unfortunately, with Age of Empires 4 at the moment, we can't do that. But yeah, I think it was a great display of a couple of different things. I calculated that you, from the delaying tactics that you used in that game, you prevented your enemy from gathering 9,000 gold and from creating 192 villages. Because, like, I know it sounds crazy, 192 villages, but I mean, they want to try and get to Imperial as fast as possible with their Palace of Swabia, and you delayed his Imperial until the 28th minute. And I think that was a massive factor. You were just always in his base. It was a beautiful game. But yeah, I've got no further questions. It was a beautiful display yesterday and a beautiful display today. Well played.
Thank you very much.
I still have the question. You will fly to Berlin in what's roughly going to be 2 weeks, like 12 days.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, major tournament, $100,000 on the line. How will you prepare for that?
I think I'm going to play a lot like these 2 weeks. Like, for the past month, I've been playing, I would say, a fair amount, but of course, when there's so much in the line now, the first offline event, the highest prize pool so far, and so on, I think I will play just a lot. Probably with Vortex, maybe I will try to find like 1 or 2 more practice partners, especially people that aren't there. And yeah, I will just play as much as possible and practice a lot on my weakest ships, think better about drafts, and just like the next 2 weeks for me will be Age of Empires 24/7 pretty much, and hopefully I can do better there.
Nice. Then thank you, and I'm so excited to see you and maybe come up with some crazy plays together with your brother. Have a good one, and thank you for the entertaining games.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you later, guys. Great casting.
Thanks, Lucifron.